Coach, how sweet is it?
After last year, was it just good to see y'all's name on the screen?
You what?
Was it just good to see your name on the screen?
Absolutely, because that's what you do this for, to have a chance to be part of this tournament, and this group of guys should enjoy it because they've earned it, and I think they are. There's no doubt they're excited about it, and I'm excited because the one thing I've said every year that you don't take it for granted, and I made sure they understood that point again, and took them through the season in terms of games that some people thought were meaningless games. Are big games, but the body of work that they've put together is something that they should be proud of, and it put them where they are right now.
Rick, what do you like most about your guys right now?
Well, I think if you guys watched their response when they came in, when their name came up, it was not an emotional group of guys. I've said before, I don't think they're as a group, they're not a confident group. Every player will go through stretches where you lose some confidence here or there, but as a group, they're confident and not a group of guys that get too up or down. They certainly have been disappointed the games that we've lost because I think the expectations are. I think they think like the coaching staff thinks that, hey, we got a chance to beat anybody if we do what we need to do.
The struggle down the stretch, just playing teams the second time in the best conference in the country. How do you size it up?
Fundamentals. I think it goes back to that. We can, so many times in this, people are looking for these cliches, pat answer. You sum it up in the fact that it always gets back to execution. And we didn't execute as well as we need to. And and I can take you back to the Baylor game. We come out the second half, regardless of how we felt about the first, and you could tell a lot of things had changed. And we give up 2 straight offensive rebounds after having 2 great possessions defensively. And those are the things you can't do. And so you sum it up, it's all about the game and taking care of fundamentals.
Rick, I know you love this for your players. I know you love it for your coaching staff. What does it mean to you after what happened last year to be back in the season?
Well, again, I was fortunate and blessed to have a chance to go to what we're in 18 straight tournaments. And it's a great time of year. And so this is why I do this too. I want to, and it's been a great ride with these guys. It's because, and it started almost a year ago with the guys coming back. They knew that they wanted to fix this, and they did it, and now we've got a chance to play for what we've always wanted to play for.
John said y'all practiced during the selection show last year. Was that on purpose? Did you talk about it?
Absolutely. It's just where we were a year ago. This time it wasn't acceptable, and that's why we knew we had to take a hard look at everything, and we did it. We do it every year, but some years some tough changes have to be made. Sometimes, but you always have to keep evolving and keep getting better. You have to. If you stay where you are, you're gonna fall behind. But this group started moving forward, and they've continued to move forward.
You obviously had such a successful run from 02 to 08 in the tournament, and it hadn't been as successful since. What's the key in March? What's the key this time of year to getting past those first and second rounds?
I think it goes to team. We are as a team. Teams understanding who we are by now, what we have to do, what each guy has to do, the role that each guy has to play. And the one thing with our group right now, every guy's had their moments, but now's the time there can be no letdown because it's you do it or you don't. And but focus, all the things that those are words you throw around, but it's the truth. You've got to focus, you've got to execute fundamentals, you've got to handle the ups and downs, you've got to be a confident group of guys, and you've got to believe in each other, and you've got to really play. You embrace the moment, and because they've earned it. But it's a situation where there's more to be had if you're willing to stay focused and understand that it's one game.
You were sitting right there 4 months ago, and I asked you if you had an NCAA tournament team. You said yes, and a few people laughed. I think. Why did you think that you could be here when no one else really thought that?
Well, when we started the season, and again, before the season started, we knew that we had a group of guys by the way they were together on this. They were in it together. We knew that. But before the season starts, I think every coach would be honest. You think you know, but you don't know. We knew early, and I just told the team this. We knew as a coaching staff when we played Mercer that they were a good team. And you're worried with a young group that they're going to understand what we understand. And that was a hard-fought game. But we would get down, but we showed some character. We showed some, really some resiliency. Then Stephen F. Austin, unbelievable older group of guys that we had to fight hard to win. South Alabama got down, up, down, but the group, they never flinched. And then when I'm trying to think the whole schedule, but the one thing we knew when we walked into North Carolina, the way we walked in there, and we walked out, and I can remember Coach Lanier after that game as we're walking off the floor saying to me, well, one thing for certain, we know we're good enough and we're talented enough. And even up to that point, we were terrific, fighting hard. Group and I don't think we ever discussed effort, those type things. We came back after Christmas, and again, I'm telling you what I just told these guys to recap it. We came back and we weren't good, and arguably the biggest play of the year might have been Cam Ridley's 2 free throws. When you're 0-2, and he made those 2 free throws, and even with that, I wasn't real happy at that point in time. And we went to West Virginia, and right the night before the game, we talked about some things that had to happen, and the next day we came out and really played as well as we had played all year and started playing, and then as the year went on, I can tell you, again, go back to the road losses, is execution, spacing. It's all basketball related, and maybe you could throw in the word, I would throw around the word toughness, this and that, but it got to execution, and but they always came back to work. Other than the week and a half, 2 weeks after Christmas, they came in every day and worked. And we had to keep making some changes because, we went through a period where, as the season goes on, personnel, people really, especially in the league, they begin to really play personnel. So that changes some things that you do. You can have the best schemes, but when certain guys are played this way, that way, and so you go through that phase of it, and we went through a period where I didn't think we were as good defensively, and then we went through a period where we really knew that we wanted to get with a big lineup. We'd always thought about that, but had not really had a chance to practice it. And then when we did, and we were ready to go with it more than we had been, John got hurt, and then I think when John came back and Javon was out a little bit, so we didn't get the stride we wanted to go. But now we've added at the end of the year, we've added where we are comfortable pressing. We're changing things up. And so there's a lot of things that we can do, a lot of different things we can play, but it still goes back to you got to do it now.
Right.
But they like each other, and we knew that early, and that's so important. I know people talk about it, but I just told those guys, but there's still a depth that we've got to get to as a team. We're now. I know they like each other, they care about each other, but they've got to coach each other more now. It's a player's game, and we know that. And this time of year, it is a player's game. And and it's going to be an unbelievable experience. And I told them tonight that I think this is really just the beginning for them if they want to do something with it.
They're one of the youngest teams in the country. How are they reflecting that, and then how are they not reflecting it?
Well, how they have reflected it is the way we've handled situations on the road, where we, again, everybody understanding that if you don't do what you're doing, you're really affecting your teammates in ways that they don't even probably think about the game. For instance, if Javon Felix doesn't shoot a shot and holds it when he should shoot it, it takes away what DeMarcus Holland does by going to get those extra possessions and doing those type things. If We don't put the ball inside the way we need to get the shot up. Our big guys, again, it takes away what John Holmes can do well, rebound the ball, what DeMarcus Holland, what Kendall, yeah, those type things. So it's those type things that we've got to, that's what I mean by taking it deeper, where they have to understand this has to happen. Whether you think you're going to make the shot or not, if it's a shot that we practice, a shot that we expect, you've got to take that shot. And I think that's where the youth has come in at times, because there's not a guy on this team that's selfish. But in some ways, that is being selfish, because I think kids are so sometimes thinking about what people might think. You've shot that ball. Well, even Cam inside. I don't care how many times he misses. If it's the shot that he gets, he's got to take. It could be every one of them. And so you need to do what you do, so you allow your teammate to do what he does. And when we haven't done that is when we've bogged down.
Coach, is there a game this season that you feel like everything fell into place, like they were everything was going right, and something that you feel like would be the performance that they need to have in the tournament?
Well, I think the performance you got to have is one of the best you've got to have. I think this time of year you better go in thinking that we've got to do it all, and because it's you either do it or you don't.
Have they done that yet this season? Have they done it all?
Oh, there's been games that we played. You go back. The North Carolina game, we were really good in terms of the way our attitude going in. What we did at West Virginia up there was good. The way we played West Virginia, we've had some times where it's really good. And it's not just making shots. It's we were great. We were great in Kansas City. That might have been our best defensive game of the year. And then when we came back against Baylor, we were terrible defensively. And I'm not taking anything away from Baylor, because they made us that way, but we weren't doing the things that we needed to do. And it started more so, and it has in every game, the offensive end. You can't let what happens on that offensive end affect the other side. And that's happened a lot in our losses. And but with that being said, have we played perfect? No, we haven't. But you don't have to play perfect. You just got to be really good. And you don't have to be mistake free, but you can't be careless. And but we've had some moments that you'd like to bottle. Then there's other times that I like to be gone, because the expectations of once you see how good you can be, you want it all the time. But you understand the game too. It's going to be those ebbs and flows, and you got to handle those. And we did that early. At the end, I didn't think we did as well. Certain times, and certain times we did.
You feel like you're a tough team to match up with?
Yeah, because we're big. We can get real big. We've played small. Not that we don't mind doing that, but that's not what we do. And we've shown a lot of different things this year defensively. You look at the last 3 games, we've shown full court man pressure, full court zone pressure, 3/4 court zone pressure, full half court traps. We've shown a 1-3-1 early in the year. We've shown a lot of different things. And I think when you look at teams but the fact is, the things that we have to hang our hat on is defensively, and that's been our man in our zone. And we're back where we're playing the zone. We played the zone better, other than against Baylor, but we never really got into it. We played the zone better in the Texas Tech game than we have in 2 months. So. And that can be good to us. And the other thing, we left Kansas City. I'm really proud of Martez and Kendall, especially for those guys. They've worked and they had a chance, and they're confident. And Prince, I think Prince has been really good. Connor got extended minutes, and but. Every guy's had his moments. We just they need to be ready.
Early thoughts on Arizona State?
I don't know much about. Obviously, Herb was one of my assistants. I met Herb back in 1978 at the University of Pittsburgh camp when Tim Gergerts was there, and John Calipari was a counselor. Herb was a student counselor. He was still going to Carnegie Mellon, and from that time, and then he was on the staff of Rick Pitino and then Gordy Chiesa. When I went to Providence, he was the one guy I kept, because I'd known him from that time on, and he had been there. He knew the landscape of Providence and was terrific. I mean, he's a brilliant guy and excellent basketball coach. A lot smarter than I am, I can tell you. I mean, Lenore Ryan University is a hard place, but Carnegie Mellon's, pretty tough. But he's a man of great character, and he's never wavered from his beliefs, never. And he's got a team that, again, I know he's got, I think, a point guard that, again, I don't really know that much about him, other than the fact that my respect for him is all I need to know. We'll get on it tonight and start putting it together, what we need to do.
Patterson brought in Musselman last year to help with their offense.
And he's a terrific coach too. And again, I think that tells you too, Herb does some great things with him, and they're sound. I mean, his teams have always been sound. I mean, they have. And he's played a lot of different styles, and he's always adapted it to what he needs to do.
Rick, is this the best Big 12 you've been a part of, or is it better than the other three, or you had 2 teams?
It might not be the most talented in terms of individual players, but without question, it's the best it's ever been as a league. And who knows what the future holds for some of the guys in these leagues, because it's a talented league. But when I say that, you go back and we've had lottery picks and stuff like that, and we're going to have a bunch this year. But they're young, they're younger, and but as a group, there is no doubt it has top to bottom. It's by far and away the best it's ever been.
In some ways, do you feel like an underdog because of the struggles here at the end, even though you are a higher seed?
Again, you know what? I don't. I think that, again, I think you can try to read stuff into this or that, but we are who we are, and, I've had teams in the past that I could say that, we come down the stretch not playing as well and thinking you're going to not maybe do so well. They have done really well. I've had a team that won a Big East championship that we were really excited about because we were playing great, and we get knocked out in the first round because of the excitement they felt from winning a conference championship. And so I don't know. I mean, I don't know how all that stuff plays, other than I do know our guys right now, they're excited about this.
Were you surprised Baylor got a higher seed than y'all?
No. No, because I think that a long time ago, I mean, it's been out there that you're going to be judged on your body of work. And you go back to both Baylor and I do think this. I think if we'd have beaten Baylor Saturday, I think we would have gone higher. But the fact is, they had a great their non-league back when they were struggling. You just knew if they just would get to around 500, they were going to be in the tournament because of their non-league schedule. And then you go back to Iowa State. They had a great. They went into BYU, and BYU I think was ranked a little bit higher. Then they beat Michigan at home, and again, I'm not sure, but I think at one time both of those teams might have been a top 5 team. I think so. Non-league wise, they were, and you can look at Iowa State. They ended up, and we tied with them in the league. But if you look at our non-league schedule, I know it benefited us, but I know it's not as highly as Baylor. I know beat Kentucky and somebody else. They had a great non-league record. And then I think again, I feel for SMU, and I guarantee you, I don't know what it is. I haven't studied it, but I will promise you it'll go back to their non-league record. And I'm saying that, and I probably shouldn't without looking at it, but I will bet. Well, I shouldn't say bet, but I would say that that's what it will go back to, because the one thing the NCAA made clear years ago was you were going to be judged on your body of work from start to finish. And I think the same thing was true of Kansas. Everybody wanted to make a big deal about with the NCAA, penalize them for inbound not playing. The fact is, I guess they're the second seed because they match up with Kentucky. If they would have won in the tournament, maybe they would have been the first number 2, or maybe a first round. I mean, but what I like, to me, what the NCAA said was, we're looking at you on your body of work. This is the team, and this is what you've done. And which I think is awesome, because that's what you should be based on from start to finish what you do.
What does that Big 12 Coach of the Year from your peers mean?
Well, honestly, when you've been doing as long as I have, I think every coach would say we know that it's players do it for you and people around you, obviously, but it does mean a lot to me because of the coaches in this league, because they've been friends for a long time, and I have great respect to them. But I said to other people that I could make a case for a lot of people in this league. I really could. A lot of coaches did some great jobs, and I mean, it's amazing the coaches in this league, and that's what I knew with our league. And you think about it, every team in this league got better from start to finish. And people will look at TCU and say they didn't win, but you ask any coach in the league, no one was looking forward to playing those guys because they might arguably be a team that executed better than anybody in the league in terms of doing what they do every single night. They were going to do what they did, and they're making shots. You knew it would be a tough game, but I'd give all that stuff up to keep winning. I can tell you that. I'd rather win.
Rick, some of your best teams have been led by like one name player like TJ or KD or whoever. And everybody knows what those teams are. Is it in John Holmes to be that for this team, this program? Is it in him to do that?
Well, he does lead in the way he goes about his business. I mean, he's not a vocal guy. I'm not sure he'll be that ever. You'd like for him to. See, he certainly has earned the right to speak up and say what he wants to say. He has done that. I think DeMarcus Holland's the same kind of guy. I mean, because those guys, every single day, they don't have bad days. And but in terms of vocal guys, I'm not sure. I was telling somebody the other night, I haven't really thought about it very much until the last couple of weeks. It came to my mind about Poppy. Because he, at the end of the year, was the guy that changed this thing. And I actually said something to DeMarcus Holland the other night after we got back. What would be the difference if Poppy was here? And he said, Coach, he'd be calling guys out. Now, we don't have that with this group right here because they're young guys. But looking at it again, when Poppy left, and it was obviously a blessing in disguise when he did leave, because that's when John Holmes and DeMarcus really kind of started every day doing it. Because Poppy, when he was around, nobody else had to talk because he never stopped talking, But the difference is what DeMarcus said. I mean, he was going to, and he did it in a way that the guys knew that he was all about winning. I mean, that's what he was about. And but those two guys have really, I mean, you'd go anywhere with those guys because they're going to fight till the end.
If you had to describe the personality of this team in a word, what would it be?
I think they're confident. They got something about them. But at times we haven't had it the way we need to. But they are a resilient group. We just had a meeting and they understood. They've learned a lot. They have learned a lot, and now they got to put it together. And I actually heard the other night someone asked Boeheim kind of the question that Kurt asked me about whether or not I think they've lost 4 or 5, 6, something like that. But it really is a whole new ball game right now. It really is, because they're going to get excited, and every team, I don't care who it is, and people will have to answer questions. Players have to do that. But it's the teams that can, and I know coaches look at brackets maybe. It's one game. It's one game. And but this group is, like I said, they haven't been too emotional. You go back to the North Carolina game, we won that game. There's a great picture of them. And it really, I guess this would really tell you what it is. They're walking off of court at North Carolina arm in arm, but not too emotional, not jumping around like, we didn't expect this. That's probably how I would define them, because that's kind of how they are. They're together, but not overly excitable.
Anything else? You don't even look at the draw being Arizona State. For your path, you even look at it.
I don't. Again, I don't know. I don't. I do know we played the winner of Michigan and Wofford. But
Like Wofford now?
good friend. I can remember Mike used to come watch us practice. He was an assistant at Wofford, and the head coach, the AD there is Richard Johnson's a great guy. They're great guys, and I did see the end of the last minute of that game with Western Carolina. I did see that, but Mike's he's worked hard there, and it's a
And
good.
you get to see Patterson himself on Arizona State?
Well, I'm thinking he's going to give me the scouting report. You know.
Anything else? Thanks, Dan.
Thanks. All right. Thank you, guys.